Why nobody sounds like themselves anymore. There was a time when you could close your eyes and tell the difference between a Telecaster, a Les Paul, a Strat, a Jazzmaster, just by the scars in the tone. A time when the guitar wasn't a preset, it was a personality, a voice, a wound. And now everybody sounds like a clone of a YouTube video made by a guy chasing John Mayer's delay settings. We've turned the most human of instruments into a sterile digital puppet, a fractal, a profile, a patch. Nobody's chasing the dragon anymore. They're chasing the algorithm. Everyone's scared to be weird, scared to sound broken, raw, or ugly. But that's where the real soul lives, man. That's where Hendrix made fire. That's where EVH cracked the code. That's where Prince made purple bleed. Now you hear a riff and think, oh yeah, that's the Neural DSP Gojira pack. Not that's him, that's her, that's me. Where did the fingerprints go? The lost voice. Guitar used to be identity. It used to define us. It used to help define the person. The type of guitar that you played used to define the style of music that you played. And sure, you could play country on a Les Paul, but you know what? That instrument was mostly known for rock. Sure, you could play jazz on a Telecaster, but that was mostly an instrument used for country music. But there was a cross-pollination of players that could play anything on any style of guitar. Players were recognizable by tone, not by their tags. Tone was an extension of the player's soul. The guitar used to speak your name. And this was all before tone became a template. Back when distortion had DNA. You used to have to bleed to find your tone. You used to have to hunt through swap meets, answer recycler ads, go down, get on Music Connection and chase some guy down for some lost Marshall amp or some lost pedal that you can't find, searching for that perfect formula that would give you the tone of the gods. And now it's just a patch. Now it's just a click. Now it's just a point of the mouse, and there's the tone for you. Distortion used to be inside your heart and your soul, and it was just as much finger grease and vibrato that would carry you and carry your sound and help you reach and find an audience. Now it's just as easy as 1, 2, 3. It's just too damn easy now. What we have now is the rise of sameness, preset culture, modeling amps, Kemper, Quad Cortex, AI tones. Now look, man, I appreciate these things, and I'm thankful that we live in a world where you can get a good tone very quickly, because as a guy that's, played on records and done different things, man, I can remember being in the studio and not being happy with my sound and not having the tools to be able to fix it. And, being very upset about that. But now it's just too damn easy. Here's the deal, man. Everyone is using the same profiles and IRs. Everyone's using the same presets. Here's the deal, man. I think we have many different great tools here in life. I think we've got all these things at our disposal. But man, don't just, open up a patch, or don't just, take somebody else's sound and think that you're doing anything unique. You're not. You've got to learn to add your own sonic imprint. Throw a fuzz pedal in front of your modeler. Try different EQ settings. Use your own IRs. Create your own profiles. All of these things can help you still retain your identity, man. It's very important. That is the reality of all of this, man, is finding your identity, and your identity is lost in the preset, man. I've often wondered myself, how much am I hearing from the modeler, is the computer, and how much is me? And it almost seems like it's taking over 50%. Here's the true test. Pick up different guitars. And is it sounding the same no matter what guitar you plug into it? Then you might have a problem here. If you're losing the identity of the instrument that you're plugging into the device, then maybe it's time to try something else. Maybe it's time to go old school. Now, here's the downfall of YouTube demo culture. It's standardizing what sounds good. And that can be a real problem, man, because everyone's clamoring for the same presets, clamoring for the same IRs. You hear something and you go, oh, I want to sound like that. But man, here's the reality, man. You've got your own identity and you've got your own sound, and you've got to fight to keep it. Don't just grab somebody else's discovery. If somebody else is able to get great results out of something, maybe you need to find your own path. There is an illusion of perfection. It is not real anymore. It's not something that you strive. It's not something that you created. You're just downloading someone's patch. You're just downloading some program. You're just buying the latest modeler. You're not actually creating anything. Everyone and everything sounds amazing these days, and no one sounds real. Now, here's a real issue. There is a fear of failure. People think, don't be weird. Musicians now that used to be the most creative people on earth are now avoiding risk in tone and phrasing. They're being afraid of making mistakes. They're afraid of playing behind the beat. They're afraid of playing in front of the beat. They're afraid of all the little nasty little nuances, and even some are eliminating the spaces between notes to make themselves sound more robotic. And that is a very sad reality, because you're taking the human element out of the music. You know what? Internet feedback loops make people play safe. When there's this constant thing, oh, well, this person's doing this, and they've done this highly edited video, and look at all the likes that they're getting, then the tendency is for other people to imitate. Monkey see, monkey do, right? But man, what we're doing is we're killing off the human element of music. Somebody's going to come along one day that's going to leave all the warts in and leave all of that. It's going to sound like a revolutionary sound. It's going to sound like, music to people's ears, because all of a sudden they're going to hear the sound of human emotion. Polish is the enemy of personality. A cracked voice tells the best stories. Now, here's what we've lost. We're in the fingerprint era. The uniqueness of Jimmy Page's loose, sloppy guitar playing. Man, nobody would even think about playing like that now. But now when I hear it, I think, my God, what beauty in that. What grace in that. What presence, what ego to just go for it. And not try to fix it, not try to repair everything, but to just let it out there as raw emotion. SRV's intensity. Is there anybody out there with that intensity anymore? I can think of maybe one or two guys. Philip Sace, maybe. But man, it's few and far between. I see very little intensity anymore, and more people striving for perfection. They're willing to do anything to achieve fame, to achieve likes, to get clicks, to get their dopamine fix. They're thieving, they're stealing, they're cheating, they're doing anything they can to game the system. But is it creating better guitar players? Absolutely friggin' not. The imperfections of SRV or Keith Richards or Jimmy Page, even Edward Van Halen had mistakes and left mistakes in on records. The imperfections of these people, the real human element became their signatures. And that is the reality of this. If you erase all the imperfections out of your playing, then you're going to just sound just like the last guy and the guy before him and the next guy to come along. Everyone is going to start to sound like a machine. And you know what? That is absolutely complete rubbish. Your sound is not a download. Where there's danger, there's identity. Now here's my call to action. I'm going to encourage people to experiment. Try new things, try different pedals, try different combinations, experiment with EQ settings, find different ways, create different fingerings, create your own scales, create your own sound, play loud, play wrong, play yourself. Use gear to express, but not impress. Here's the deal. Chase the dragon, not the trend. Let your tone scare somebody. That's how you know it's yours. So go ahead, crank it up, break the rules, and play something so wrong it bleeds. Play something so wrong it hurts. Because if your tone doesn't scare you just a little, then maybe it ain't yours.